Okay, welcome to the podcast on the carbon cycle. So, this is the topic that everyone seems to dread. I can't do the carbon cycle, sir. However, if you can just visualize this diagram that I'm going to draw for you now and talk my way through now, then it will help you incredibly when you come to any questions on the carbon cycle. And the carbon cycle is just that, really, how carbon is recycled in the atmosphere. So, we're going to start with carbon, CO2, in the atmosphere. So carbon is there as a compound, carbon dioxide, but it's there. Now, carbon comes down from the atmosphere into plants. So for this carbon cycle, as we work our way through, you've got to try to remember there's two different things. There's things and there's processes. So for each arrow, you need to write a process on. So how does carbon dioxide get into plants? Well, it does it by the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Now, plants will use that carbon to make themselves glucose. So carbon is now changed from a gas to glucose. Right. Along comes an animal, a herbivore. We'll just put cattle, for instance. So the cattle eats a plant. So that carbon now, once there, has moved to there. So we've got an arrow again. So we write a process, and that is consumption. Posh word for eating. So the cattle eats a plant. They've now got some of the carbon. Right, what do cows do? Well, they go to the toilet. They excrete. And you've got waste. But also, the plant and the cattle could die. So we'll put death here. And also, waste comes down here. And that will decompose, decay. So we've got dead plants, dead animals, and waste all decomposing. What does this decomposing? Microorganisms does the decomposing. Bacteria. So you can see how the carbon, once it's in the atmosphere, is being moved around this diagram. Now, at this point, we now think, right, so we've got carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. How do we get carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere? Well, all living things respire. I'll say it once more. All living things respire. Respiration. And respiration produces as a waste product carbon dioxide. So where are the living things on my diagram? Well, I've got a living thing here. The plant lives. Cattle lives. Microorganisms are alive. And they are all putting CO2 back into the atmosphere through respiration. And respiration. Right, so it's a beautiful carbon cycle. We do need to mention one more thing. Plants, over time, millions of years, could form fossil fuels. What, like coal? And they could be put into, this is my factory. You get your coal, it's formed from the plants, put it into a factory, and you are going to burn it, and you are going to get energy from it. But the burning, the combustion, posh name for burning, posh word for burning, should I say? Get rid of that. Burning, and that releases CO2. And that's the carbon cycle, people. Not too difficult. Now, if you're sat there thinking, wow, what the hell is respiration, what the hell is photosynthesis? They are just equations. and it's how animals produce their own energy and plants make their own food. So for photosynthesis, it is CO2 plus water gives you glucose plus oxygen. Respiration, that's photosynthesis. Respiration, you should know this from year 9. Respiration is oxygen plus glucose gives you energy, but as a waste product gives you CO2. So this is what we're concerning ourselves with. Photosynthesis takes in CO2. Respiration produces CO2. Okay, let's have a go at the questions then.